Hello, and good Saturday to you all. My name is Jay Edgar, and we're coming up now. It's election time almost. Do you know that? Did you vote yet? Have you decided who you're going to vote for yet? Did you want to change your vote if you voted early? This has been an unprecedented year of early voting, and people wanted to come in and change their votes. I think this is the first time that we've seen a widespread push to change some votes here, but here we are. The last Saturday before election, and I knew that we had to have an Ed Talk this Saturday. We had to sit down and talk about this, and I wanted to get your thoughts. I want to see what you have to say. Want to see what you guys think. I want to see what you guys are doing for the election, what you want to see out of this, and what you want to see out of the administration of your preferred candidate. I'm most interested in that last part. I really want to see just what it is you guys think is going to come out of whatever your vote is going to do here. Anyway, my name is Jay Edgar. This is Ed Talk. This is going to be a first, and I'm fairly excited to see how this goes. So, as some of you may know, some of you have come and hung out with us before here, this show is dedicated to listener questions and listener conversation. This is your time, and I want to see what it is that you guys have to say. But I'm doing something unprecedented on this here, and we're going to be doing a little bit of experimentation with this as well, because I'm going to start taking calls. We're going to take calls for this show. I've got a room set up in the Discord server on which I host this show, which I have my wonderful mods out here ready to start putting the Discord link in. If you look in the description below you, on all your channels, DLive, Twitch, or YouTube, or above you in Facebook. Unfortunately, you can't find it in Periscope, but you can find the YouTube link in my Twitter profile, and you can get the link from there. You will get into the Discord server and pop into the room marked as the waiting room as soon as you're into the Discord server. Once you're there, put a pick me into the channel marked pick me, so I know that you're there and ready here, and I will pull you in for a voice call. This is something I'm a little bit excited to try here, but I've also got a little bit of nerves about it as well, because, opening up the internet to just anybody here is a little bit nerve-wracking here, but I am excited to hear what you guys have to say. So make sure you get on into that live room and head on in and get into the waiting room so I can pull you in. We will try to stick to 5-minute calls, and I'll be watching for 5-minute calls. And, of course, we will take live chat in between topics here and in between callers here, just so we can take some time and talk to you and get some things in from the people who are nervous to come back and sit by and talk. Let's see what we've got in the live chat so far here today. First things first, we're going to go ahead and pop in the Discord link. Get that up in there for you. It doesn't look like I have anybody in the live chat yet so far, which is a little bit unnerving here to start off on a call-in show, but definitely something I'm looking forward to, and looking forward to people coming and seeing here. All right. Well, let's talk. I'll talk a little bit about where I want to see the administration go. And I did a solo video on this already, so some of my thoughts are out there, but I've even thought of a few more thoughts after the solo video came out. So there are some things to think about going along with what we're going to see off of this. I endorsed Donald Trump, which was a very big surprise to myself. I didn't think that I was going to do it. I didn't think I had the capability of doing it. I thought for sure that I was going to be forever in the camp of not voting for Trump, and this time I wasn't going to vote for anybody for the top of the ticket. I was not impressed with Jo Jorgensen. I'm sorry, I know this is probably going to be a shock to my co-host, but I was not impressed with Jo Jorgensen. I have no opposition to voting for a third party. I have absolutely no opposition to doing it. In fact, I'm fairly excited for the prospect of taking away some of these neocons out of the Republican Party, and in turn, turning around and taking away some of the people from the progressive wing of the Democrat Party as well. I mean, the neocons and the neolibs are exactly the same at this point. They want war, they want to make it good for their big business buddies, and they don't give a damn who they trample over to get there. That is just a sad fact of life at this point. Jorgensen didn't impress me very much. Trump did a runaway spending spree in his first term in office. He did an absolute runaway spending spree in his first term in office. Now, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was a good thing. It absolutely was. Stephen Ignoramus in the house trunk. Stephen, you want to test out the call-in show feature? You know what to do. Get in that waiting room over in the Discord here, and I can pull you in for the live chat. I'm actually definitely willing to go and hang out with that. Now that we're getting some people pouring in here, I'll go over the rules once again as far as the call-in goes. If you find the Discord server, either in the chat here, in the description, or anywhere else, hop in that Discord server, get in the waiting room, and put your Pick Me in the Pick Me channel so I know that you're interested in coming on. Head up into that, get into the waiting room, and I will pull you in for 5-minute calls. So, as I mentioned, yeah, I decided that it was time to endorse Trump. Not necessarily because I'm in any sort of agreement with Trump. Stephen Ignoramus says Lindsey Graham is crap and Hillary Clinton is poop. Yeah, I can be impressed with Lindsey Graham every once in a while. I think he's I call balls and strikes with Lindsey Graham. I really do, because he's done some good stuff and he's done some bad stuff. It seems like he is the kind of guy who will go with whoever is winning at the time. If the neocons are winning, then he goes on a straight-up neocon line. If the progressives are winning, he tends to lean over and hug the most progressive member of the House. If the Trumpkins are winning, then he goes on to Trump's side. So he kind of blows with the wind. He doesn't really know where he's going to go, what he's going to do, and we really have no expectation of what we're going to get out of him. He did really good with the Senate Judiciary Committee. He did really good with Amy Coney Barrett. He did really good in showing that he's willing to walk across the aisle and reach across the aisle to come back and try and make things work with anybody. I like Lindsey Graham when he's doing good, but when he does bad, he does bad. And, I mean, Sean Hannity had it absolutely right. Lindsey Grahamnesty was the one that he liked to say. Lindsey Grahamnesty, because he was going to get up in there and he was just going to give out amnesty to everybody, because that's what it seemed like the people wanted. So, absolutely, Lindsey Graham is crap, but he can also do well as well. But I decided to endorse Trump because there were a few reasons that went along with that. I mean, right now, Donald Trump has fuck you clout if he gets reelected. He can come out and say, no, I don't want to pass that. That's an omnibus. That's too much money. And he can possibly get reelected. Well, he doesn't have to worry about reelection. He can sit there and he can hardball and he can stonewall and he can hold out to wait to get that budget. And we need to have a budget passed at this point. We can't just sit here and continue to do omnibus packages. We can't. Our country can't afford it. Our debt jumped up $7 trillion over the course of Trump's presidency. We can't keep going with that. And that was one of the strikes against Trump and the reason that I couldn't vote for him. Now, I was having a conversation with my brother a little bit earlier too, and we were talking back and forth. He's trying to convince me to go back and vote for Jorgensen, and I can't do it. I really can't. And from the basis of what he's telling me, and this is a big thing for me, and I've seen a lot of people do this. A lot of people are excited for Jorgensen just because of the L next to her name. I can't simply vote for somebody based on the letter that is sitting up next to their name. I can't do a party vote for a president anymore because they've got good, they've got bad, and I've got to weigh what's good and what's bad for all of this. So I really got to take some time and see who's going to do what. And I don't know what I'm going to get out of second-term Trump because I've got no judicial record and no any sort of record to go along with him. I have no idea what I can get out of him, but I can see things that can possibly be good from him. I can see possible good things that could come from Trump if he keeps his nose clean and he does it right. I don't know if he's going to keep his nose clean and he does it right, but he's got the best chance out of all of them. I mean, look at Biden. I'm going to fix this country. You've been in office. Oh, we've got a caller in here. All right, let's ping it in. That's not exactly the way that you're supposed to ping on this here, but good enough here because you're the first one in. All right, 5 minutes on the timer. We'll pull Stephen Ignoramus in and have a talk with him. Suppose I should...
You waiting?
I suppose I should get into the caller in room too if I'm actually going to have a call in here. Stephen Ignoramus, everybody. Welcome on in. You're the first caller over on Ed Talk.
Hello. I just had to call in.
Yeah.
Dude, your brother wants you to vote Jorgensen.
He does. He wants me to go straight on a party line vote.
That made me audibly laugh out loud when you said that a couple minutes ago.
It is what it is, honestly.
Oh no! Oh man, that's so funny. I mean, I'm trying to think if I would. Here's a question: Is there another party that you would be into? Like, is there the Constitutional Party, the Natural Man Party?
There is not anything that I could possibly say of anybody that's currently running that has any clout right now. I'm a
Yeah,
Federalist, and if we could reform the Federalist Party and actually have Federalist 10th Amendment values with it, then I would join that party. But as far as anybody that's going right now, no, there is nothing.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, Robert from the Generational Gap is voting Jorgensen just because of the group, like just because to basically because he thinks he wants there to be more than two parties, and he thinks that is the most like viable one, or the one that is like most in line with his values that isn't, blah blah blah. But so is there another one of those parties that is in line with your values that isn't running someone cool? Like, what about the Federalist Party? Like, are they federal? Are they Federalists?
Well, I mean, we haven't had a Federalist Party in 200 years, so we haven't had a candidate go into that party for quite a long time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Do you I know you endorse Trump, but what is your what got you over the hump? Was there one event? Was it like the mob stuff? Like, what was it?
It was Tommy Chong.
What? Explain.
So Tommy Chong on, I believe it was Thursday night, put out a tweet and he said, "Hey man, over on November 3rd, 2029, we're gonna vote Biden in and vote Trump out, man. And anybody who tries to resist in the streets is gonna meet the full might of the U.S. government, man. We were born to resist dictators, and treasoners will be dealt with."
It's like, listen, Tommy, you're a great guy, Tommy. Love the movies. Not gonna happen. It's gonna be all salt flowing. It's gonna be a cannabis bath. Yeah. So Tommy Chong, is he even American? Is he like Hawaiian?
I have no idea anything about Tommy Chong except for the fact that he smoked a lot of fucking dope in the 70s and the 80s on a camera.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Do you like Lil Wayne? Like as a dude, not in music, but
I know absolutely nothing about Lil Wayne.
Dude,
other than the fact that he's got tattoos and big braids.
All the based entertainers are filing in behind Trump.
Yeah.
Like, Lil Wayne has been based for a very long time. They tried to get him in on Black Lives Matter the first go around, in 2014 or whatever. And Lil Wayne is like, dude, I don't believe in white privilege. Like, white cops saved my life. I've done great for myself by working hard. I love America. He's like, don't involve me in your Black Lives Matter shit. And now he just endorsed Trump. So I'm like, sweet.
Well, what about Ice Cube?
Well, I mean, he didn't endorse Trump. That a lot of like lies or whatever. I mean, the right wing identity grift squad has been running with this shit.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll, I won't say the word, but but basically, Eric Trump retweeted a picture of 50 and Ice Cube, and Ice Cube retweeted and just said "N please." But 50 excuse me, Ice Cube didn't endorse Trump. Ice Cube listened to Trump about the platinum plan and did not endorse Biden, which is, I mean, kind of to them totally endorsement of Trump, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Anybody who doesn't explicitly endorse Biden. I mean, if you looked at some of the things that were going around Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and everything else. Well, a vote for Joe is a vote for Trump, and a vote for I'm talking about Jorgensen, obviously, but yeah, it was always up there. Vote for Joe is a vote for Trump, and a write-in is a vote for Trump, and not voting is a vote for Trump, and the only way to vote for Biden is to vote for Biden.
Yeah, they're wrong factually.
All right. Stream has reconnected, so we should be back here. I'm going to wait to see if DLAT kicks back on. Otherwise, I got to kick it off and kick it back on, which, working with Streamlabs, I don't know what's going to... Okay, yep, there it is. Hey, Ron's in here, too. I got to throw the link up in here for my DLive people because it doesn't show up with the robot. Do you think? You don't think that no voting is a vote for Trump? Because that's what I was going to do.
What I'm saying is kind of like, at the end of the day, it's kind of, yeah. At the end of the day, one of these two people are going to win. Fact.
Hmm.
And that is going to be the case, I think, for the rest of our lives. I mean, maybe it'll change when we're old men. But I think at least for the next 3 or 4 elections, it's going to be the same as it ever was, two parties, and one of these people is definitely going to win. And whoever third party is going to get always less than 5%. I mean, they barely even get 1%.
Hmm.
So by that logic, by like the realistic outcome, any vote that isn't for the winner is wasted, because it is a winner take all system, you know. So by that logic, I don't know what to call it. It's not really logic. It's like game theory, and by any non-vote for the winner is wasted or whatever, or
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, I mean, but also you got to think about it more, because you're in Wisconsin,
Hmm.
and that's really in play, right?
Oh yeah.
It's like one of the most important. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, to me, if you're right wing whatsoever and you're not voting Trump, you got something wrong with you. Like, yeah, you got a little something going on. I don't know what's with this election, because it's just like you have the choices in front of your face, and these are the choices. It's not like I'm not asking anyone to wave a wand. Just like, but if you're right wing at all, you should definitely just vote for Trump and tell everyone you know to.
Well, I got a couple more questions for you, and then I'm gonna boot
Oh,
you out of here and
ah,
let Midget pop
uh,
in because it looks like he's
cool.
getting ready to go too. Um, Now, one of the things that you said was that you have endorsed Trump and you've done so for a while, but you weren't completely sure either. You've said that on your show before. What
No,
was that pushed
no.
you over?
Oh, the mobs, man. I mean, yeah, after St. George, peace be upon him, passed away from this earth, and after going down there to cover the riots and stuff, and how people didn't care. I mean, I really think that the Democrats are like literally pro destruction. They do it under like the guise of wanting to clean stuff up, but that doesn't really matter to me that much. I mean, like, destruction of property is destruction of property, and it just became an easy choice after that. I've said for a while that Trump was like around a 42 to 45 approval rating from me.
Okay.
The St. George riots pushed it to like 55, and then I really, really, really woke up to how funny this dude is, and how smart with his troll tactics this guy is. I mean, this guy is a brilliant person, y'all. I mean, this is a brilliant man. We will, once he leaves either office or this earth, and it might be the same day. You know, we're gonna lose a cultural icon that is hilarious and just like swings his D in the face of his enemies. So I mean, I just got kind of woken up a couple years late to the Trump cultural thing, and I think cultural is way more important than politics. So it's my speech, my you know pitch speech. Yeah. Yep.
So, if you could have your top three things that you would see Trump being able to do in his second
Mm,
term,
yeah.
I've mentioned mine
Uh,
before. And one of the big ones is the ability to go back to whoever the Speaker of the House is and say, fuck you, give me a budget, not an omnibus. What are your top three things that you would want to see out of a second Trump presidency?
Not that, because I think that in terms of the that type of thing, everyone's a socialist, the right and the left, and they're just going to keep kicking the can down the road. So I mean, that part is okay. I don't really care about policy all that much. I care about cracking down on corruption. So locking motherfuckers up. I care about that. I care about the reversing the cult, like more of the same that he's done, like with like getting critical race theory and stuff out of there. Oh, the regulation. This more of what he's already done with snapping regulations
Hmm.
and appointing federal judges. It would be cool to get one or two more Supreme Court justices, but it's kind of, I care about the big cultural blocks, not the policy blocks, because I don't think the president should be a policymaker. He's the
Right.
executive. So it's all just like cultural milestone stuff and the things that presidents are supposed to do.
And that's completely understandable too. We're looking at some things, and one of the things I was discussing about Joe was the fact that she does seem to think that she can go in and EO away the income tax. I'm like, no, I need to have, if I could, and I would vote for Jorgensen if she could
Wow.
actually come up with something off of this, but I need to have a specific plan on how you plan to work with Congress to get it done legislatively before I can get my support behind you.
Yeah, that's interesting. She said that she wants to executive order away the income tax.
She didn't say EO it
Wow.
away, but one of the tweets that she put out said, "What are you going to do with all that extra money when?" I actually think she was quote tweeting somebody when she said it, but yeah, it was she was a quote tweeting somebody, but somebody else had tweeted out, "What are you going to do with all that extra money when Joe gets rid of the income tax?" I'm like, I'm going to buy a plane ticket and get the fuck out of the U.S. because Joe's going to be like Palpatine and dissolve the Senate.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. So, yeah, that's funny, man. I don't want any women in office.
See, I'm more amiable to that idea.
None. None. Simp. Just kidding.
I don't care how a person pees as long as their policy is good. I don't really care
Dude,
about their junk.
suckers immortalizing mediocre politicians.
Nice.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, that was a good chat, man. Do these call-in shows more. I'll definitely call in.
All right, I'm gonna boot you out of here, and we'll pull Midget B in. I'll check with the chat, and
All
then we'll
right.
pull Midget B in here. So,
All right.
Stephen Ignoramus.
Peace out, y'all.
All right, let's check in with the chat here quick before I go and grab Midget B in. Looks like Midget B says you'll definitely get a lot more salt from a second-term Trump. What's up with the Reform Party and Rocky De La Fuente? I'm not sure. We'll have to see what hops in here. Wolf has got the Pepe sticker, the Pepe Clown sticker on top of it. What is it? Honkler was the name of that? Running through the fire. Ron Helton says, vote for Joe, let your mind go. Ron Helton should get in here. We got to get Ron Helton in here. Put the pressure on Ron Helton to get in the Discord and get into the live chat because we got to hear from Ron Helton. Mitchell was wondering what's happened. Already Conservative says, Hup, homie. Welcome on in. No, we're doing call-in shows. Watching trains go by says, interesting. No voting helps Trump. Merely because despite all the violence that they thought would scare Trump supporters, the useful idiot rioters have given up on both parties. R-rated conservatives prepping for his show at 8. Trumpomania tonight. That'll be an interesting one. Watching trains go by says, I'm actively anonymous, but I'm here. Dude, pop in. Call in. Get in the Discord. Come and hang out and get in the waiting room. We'll get, you won't have to get your face on camera, but we'll get your voice anyway. And I'll ask you some questions as well. It says, big if Trump really is just a puppet like Biden and there's some secret group in government that decided to take on the deep state and has used him as an icon to rally people, I'm very happy about it because if Trump is being any kind of constitutionalist, it's because of them. That means some of them still are too. Steven says, I'm going to go on at 9, then RRC. Didn't know that you were streaming. Oh, okay, so he's going to push his stream an hour later. Awesome. Let's hear from Midget B over in the Discord. Midget Man, can you hear me?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Welcome on in. Welcome into the first ever call-in show.
Yeah, I'm pleased to be a guest. Thank you for having me even briefly. That's all I wanted to do was just call in and shout. While I'm still remembering what Stephen was saying, I gotta say I agree with his take. I too am less concerned with policy and more with the cultural, coup that we're going through. So, politics being downstream of culture, I think it's more fundamental that we do make that our angle of attack here. So how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm just it was a hard fought road for me to get to Trump. It really was. Not because
I know.
there were a lot of bad things that went along with the Trump presidency this time through, including the renewal of the Patriot Act. That was the big one. That was the one that pushed me off of the Trump train.
That's one of the things that I was hoping a Trump and Republican Congress, but there's more to it than that, isn't there? We'll never get what we want from these people.
No,
I think that's
true.
what attracts me to Trump and the new sort of breed of politician that I feel like one interesting thing I really wanted to talk about is getting rid of these old politicians and how you do it. I had a conversation with one of my clients the other day, and like I think I said last night on the Gen Gap, I asked him why he did that. Now, I didn't get too far into that, but I do want to know why these people feel as though career politicians are gonna be the one to vote for. I tried to explain to him how like what really irks me about defeating like the DNC in general, is that they've clearly demonstrated that they're willing to do anything, break any rule, kill anyone, cheat in any manner to get their way. And that's dangerous. And so, I mean, I'll vote for who opposes them genuinely. And I won't vote for someone who opposes them just sort of as an act, you know, give you the same thing on another, with another glove. What I'm saying is, like, that's what I saw in Donald Trump. He is a thorn in their side. He never should have won. He is the bull in the china shop that we need to tear down. And I just wonder, like, imagine what would have happened if the populist left, between Bernie and Trump. Early on in 2015, there was a lot of overlap, and one side just wasn't willing to hear it from the other, so as to coalesce. I at the time was a Bernie bro, and my buddy at the time was full on Trump. And I was like, well, I feel like you're not listening to the left. Like, we're talking about the same problems that this nation has, but we've got sort of different solutions. These two people are both trying to take our interests at heart. I said, would you consider the option at the time? And I was pretty blue-pilled, I'm not going to lie. I've been a long 4 years. But something happened, and I woke up as well, like Stephen did, to the idea that there was a phenomena that was coming after the idea of freedom of thought and expression. Like, I really was radicalized by Gamergate. So it revealed to me that, these mechanisms of influence, power are all controlled and converged, and I see Donald Trump as the symptom as well as, like, the treatment, or the better, the best option. We need to crush these people out of power. And so what I was trying to explain to my client, and let me ask you before you let me go, what is your means of... Shut up, Elmo. Jesus fucking Christ. What is your means of trying to explain to people why it's important to crush Pelosi and Schumer and, and even the rhino cons like, Graham and McCain at one time, like Rubio, all of these, people who serve the sickening aspects of the machine? How do we crush them out? Like, because the right has coalesced behind Trump because they're jelly, right? They're basically made of jelly, and that's what sucks about them. And then on the other hand, like, the media has managed to coalesce what was the populist left behind the establishment left with, Orange Cheeto Hitler. What is the means to breaking through to normies? That's my question to you, Ed. How do you break through to normies and illustrate that, like, in my opinion, how do I express that this is the hammer with which we crush this system and replace these, these politicians with ones more central, left and right, with our interests at heart?
Well, one of the things that I've really put a lot of thought into, ever since Trump got elected, one of the big things that I have talked about the most with this is the idea of changing the structure of government back into a by the people, for the people type of government. And for all of her faults, and she has many of them, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is probably the best example of what we need to be doing with this. Because she is giving once again, I don't know what her story is. I have no idea what her story is at all. But the story that is presented to us of AOC is the fact that she is a humble bartender who grew up in the Bronx, even though she grew up in a very, very wealthy neighborhood north of the Bronx. But the story that's presented to us makes her feel like one of us. And one of the big things that we need to do with that is to get more people like that into government. My big thing was get the restrictions out so more people will run for office and primary more people, because the more people like you and
Yes,
me that
yes.
can sit in
Primary,
office.
primary. Yes. Regular people who will, yeah, who aren't on the take, or at least yet.
Well, yeah,
Yet,
that's
term limits win, right?
well, that's going to be a big part of the problem too. Is the fact that I mean AOC is on the take at this point, and she's not she's not
Yeah.
hiding it all. She's
Well, I'll
100% on
tell
the
you
take.
what, one more thing. Will tell you what, I'll tell you guys what, I was a big Justice Democrat before, like, when it launched, before it became a social justice Democrat. That really did happen. The left got converged by these identitarians. But, like, it was an idea that endorse, we vote for politicians who take no corporate donations, small donations on the Bernie model, where like you're beholden to the people who pay you. So if you're getting $25 at a time from people who are enthusiastic to put someone in that congressional seat, like, let's do that. I was excited, but then, like I said, convergence. And and yeah, she was one of those, and she goes off, at the mouth, real showy, on camera. But it's unfortunate that she's dense. Uh, so before I let you go, let me answer your question. What I'd like to see in a second term Trump president, because it is a mixture of culture and policy. It's like I'll agree with Stephen in the sense that I'd like to see a reduction in bureaucracy and a more court, like federal court appointment. You know, so that would be good. I want to see judges that will, yeah, follow the law and not, take activist roles. That would be nice. 4 years is a lot of opportunities, hopefully, to make that happen. Hopefully Trump is, willing to listen to the local politicians. It was about our conversation last night about decentralization. Hopefully he'll listen to local folks and say, who's your local judge that you'd like to see in this seat?
Yeah.
But moving on, repeal of the NFA, or something like it. Repeal of FISA. I want the Republicans to, I don't know if it'll ever happen under Trump, but to grow a spine and like start taking things back as opposed to just giving up things inch by inch. I want to see, the National Firearms Act repealed. I'd like to see FISA repealed. I'd like to see, DHS like broken back up, and stuff like that. The, so there is policy that I'd like to see, but on the other hand, the final thing that I want to see is culture. Yeah, more cultural victories. I want to see these rhinos crushed and embarrassed and, made the fools that they are out of publicly. Skinned alive in Minecraft and driven out of the halls of Congress with what do you call a thorny switch? So that would be nice to see. I'd really like to see a resurgence of Americanism,
Defensively, Susan, of course.
a strong rejection of the identity politics that's been pushed on us over the last 8 to 10 years.
And
Well, probably about 15 if you think about it.
and once again, that is defensively with the thorny switch.
What's that?
With the thorny
Oh,
switch, that's defensively, of
defensively.
course.
Oh, I see. Yeah, chasing them out of the halls of Congress in defense of our nation, of course, because they're already subverting it. I really somehow the establishment left held on through the Trump storm by like Russia, with media collusion, with all of the levers of power in their hand, and I love it. Every time they make a mistake, the mask slips a little more, and there are normies out there who are aware of it, but I just don't know how to turn others on who aren't. It's how do you get through to these people? How do you make them realize a whole huge red pill, in a few moments? You can't red pill something like that in a few.
No,
So,
I understand entirely. I've got one for you since we talked about this here. We talked about getting normies in and getting some of the people who are on the take out. If you could lay out just a tabletop strategy of two ways that you could get more people to run for some of these lower legislative seats and even possibly the presidency, what would be your top two ways to do that?
um, you know what? Stuff like kind of campaign finance reform. As a broad, quick answer to that would be
Okay.
campaign finance reform, a means of people financing campaigns more easily. I mean, imagine me or you taking time out of our job. For me, that's pretty tough. I work
Hmm.
the facility 6 days a week. I can't be really anywhere else. I guess someone else could do it for me, but then I'm losing, so um, maybe if there were a way to have a campaign finance pool that every candidate, corporate or not, uses. I'm not sure about something like that. Just a general idea. Campaign finance reform is my quick aim.
Okay. Definitely something.
Somehow
Go ahead.
making it feel more accessible to people. I mean, you gotta make people realize how easy it is to run for, city council or something. It doesn't take that much financing.
Oh yeah, and I suppose even taking some of the lower seats, not even just going up into the halls of Congress to represent us to the government. That is a good point. Is to take some of the more local seats as well.
Yeah, just start where you can, right? And learn the system and how to do it. I guess it's good to have a law degree,
Hmm.
if you're gonna take a higher office. So,
Well, I mean, I have said that if you guys can get my YouTube channel up to 2,000 subscribers by the first day of 2022, I will run for president.
yeah. Well, you could at least see that you got your eyes on too big a pie. If you literally wanted to use your YouTube platform though to run for office, like
Hmm.
you could run for, yeah, for maybe state senate or state representative for your district. Like you could do something like that.
Well, I've already got an eye on taking a crack at Ron Johnson's seat because he said that he's not going to seek a third term, and his term is up in
Oh,
2022.
well, there's a good idea. Like that's a good fucking idea. See what you got to do to file yourself as a candidate on the ballot. I mean, I'm sure you got to do it well ahead of time.
I've already done it once because I was
Uh,
also going to take a crack at Baldwin's seat when my ex broke up with me, and I didn't know where I was going to be living at the end of that year, so I couldn't run for Senate.
well, good for you, man. Fuck these guys. Take them out of they're do nothing. They know they're there to do nothing. They're there to get paid for to vote a certain way. Like their shit is compromised. Like, in almost every case. Like I don't know them specifically, but I'll bet you, 60 to 40 that that's the case. So, um, I'm with you, dude. If you want to unseat some fucking politician that's there to work within the system, then do it. You have my blessing for sure. I'll donate to your campaign.
All right, I'm gonna pop you out of here. I'm gonna see if I can pull Seawall
Yeah.
in.
Good
I don't
talking
know
to you, man.
if he's gonna do it or not because I think he's playing Civ 5 right now. But
Yeah, he's pretty into it too. He wasn't talking while I was waiting. All right, man. Good talking to you. Thanks for having me and word up.
yeah, take care.
See ya.
All right, that was Midget B, who has been a friend of the channel right from the beginning. Thanks for all the insight off of here. Let's see what the live chat is doing here, and then I'm going to see if I can give Seawall a pull in here, see if we can get him up in here. Looks like Ron has been going. I want to see Ron get up in here. I do, and I know he's in the Discord. I want to pop him in here and see what he's got to say of some of this stuff because he's been so active in the live chat. You guys all know Ron. You guys all love Ron. And it's about time for you guys to get to hear his voice on he and I to ask questions for each other. I would love to come back and see some of that here. All right, let's see what we've got out of the live chat, though. Let's get that back up here. I think the last thing I took was watching trains go by say that he's actively anonymous. Steven is going on at 9 because he's going to push back against the RRC, which will be cool. Steven says, but it's patriotic, guys. Steve says, dang, midget, I was a Bernie bro too at the same time as you. I was never a Bernie guy. I was never really into progressivism or socialism or any of the messages that Bernie was preaching. In fact, when I saw that that was Barack Obama's primary agenda, I started to realize that him making that his primary agenda was making it okay for that wing of the Democrat Party to take over. And by God, was I ever fucking right? Jesus Christ, was I ever right? I saw the writing on the wall, and Barack reined it in when he went back onto his regular candidate agenda, when he went back onto his general agenda. He reined it way back in, and he started being just another neoliberal bomber-in-chief. But he did pave the way for the Bernie Sanders wing of the Democrat Party to take over. So definitely something to watch for on that. And they haven't learned, and they're going to keep going because they think that they won this great battle with the blue wave in the House in 2018. Steven says, tell them to research Flat Earth. Then we told him it was for the people. Watching trains go by says, this guy is best thing Trump has going for him. People willing to listen, reason their way to a choice instead of emotion. Once people want to know, they drag their feet to their first MAGA rally. I didn't go to any MAGA rallies. I tried to go when he was in Janesville this past time through, but I couldn't even get within 7 miles of where he was giving the speech. Ron Helton says, you are in hell. Just thought that you made it, Satan. Oh, boy. Let's see. Watching trains go by is laughing. Steven says, bring back the long-legged Mac Daddy. Ron says, I'm eating, just put my hands up and heated me up some tortilla soup. That sounds good. I could go for some tortilla soup, but that would mean that I would have to be able to eat tortillas. And doing the low-carb thing kind of puts a damper on that, so unfortunately that's not going to be a possibility. But I mean, the low-carb thing is going good, so there's a little bit of a trade-off there. And maybe I'll get to the point that my pants are falling off so bad that I can even sneak back into a carb-eating diet. Who knows? We'll see off of that. Steven says, Ron, I would say, gets it. Ron says, 1934 Firearms Act, Brady Bill, NICS, assault weapons ban, BATF, repeal them all. Ron's the kind of person I want to be friends with. Just saying. Let's see. That's a good recipe, Ron. Let's bake that cake. And the Gun Control Act of 1968. Wilson and FDR were destroyers of liberty. Fact check. True. In fact, the best president was Coolidge because he didn't do a goddamn thing. And we need more presidents like that. People that don't have an agenda to get done. People that just want to be there and execute the law. And let the legislature take care of it. Now, the legislature has signed off a lot of their power to the EO pen, which is a big part of the problem with this. And that needs to be reined back in. That's another reason that we need more people in Congress that know what's going on instead of the people that are on the take. Let's see. No surprise that they were Democrats. Steven says, you can't, yo. Gotta plant the seed, be positive, and move on. Let them see you building and rising above. Watching trains go by says, you have to get them separated from the herd. The real tough ones are the ones that their work social circles are too combined. They feel trapped and have to go along to survive. Yeah, I see that too, and that's been one of the things that I have been very, very eager to do ever since I got into a situation when I was living in Kenosha where I got onto a bad job. There were no other jobs out there, but I mean, the people that I worked with, they were so engrossed in each other that it was. They went to work together, then they all went out and drank together. And they were always together. Their personal life and their work lives were the same, and I'm trying very hard not to do that. In fact, anytime I'm at work and I hear somebody start to talk shit about somebody else at work, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like internal office politics. I'm not interested in any of that shit. Leave that shit out of here. I come in, I take a bunch of stuff off a truck, I put a bunch of stuff on the shelf, I do some other various work, and then I go home. I have no interest in what you guys are doing outside of work. None whatsoever. Midget blessing. There you go. Ron Helton says the current government is operating illegally. The founders were adamantly opposed to direct taxes. Why have a revolution on that and then revert back to the same corrupt, controlling system? Well, because they don't know any other way. Watching Trains Go By says this is the perfect time to jump in while the change is at its inception. Ron is still eating. Steven says, all right, much love, y'all. Got to prep a little bit for the stream. John is here. John says, yo, John, get in. Call in. Get in the Discord. Get into the waiting room and call in, dude. Ron says, wait, I thought we were friends. He says, yo, John, hey, Ron. So, yeah, that's it. Yep, let's give the reminder out here to everybody who's in here lurking. Can't see anything off of this here. We'll get the Discord link in the chat one more time so you guys can come on in, join in. If you want to call in, just like Steven and Midget did, get into the Discord, get into the waiting room, and ping yourself and let me know that you're ready to go, and I will bring you into the call. I'm going to get this link up here one more time for the DLive people because the Nightbot doesn't show up in the DLive side. So let me get that in here. And then we'll talk about a little bit more stuff. We'll get you guys caught up in the live chat. He says, give me a few and I will. Well, we're getting up to the edge of the stream, but I will extend it if you get yourself in. Maybe that'll give a chance for Ron to pop in. I'm going to prank Seawall. I'm going to see if I can get him in here too. I don't know how engrossed he is in Civ 5, but we'll hit him here. Let me get this into the chat here, and I'll pull Seawall in and see what he's got to say, if he's got anything to say, if I can break him away from Civ 5. All right, let's see what he's got to say here. Seawall, are you winning?
Yes, actually.
I don't know if you've been paying attention to the stream at all, but pulled you in here for the call-in.
Oh boy, what's been going on the stream? I haven't been paying attention.
Oh, that's lame. We had Steven and Midget B in here for a second, and we were both talking. I asked them both the same question, but I know that you've had a lot to say, and I kind of recused myself from the chat we were having going on a little bit earlier in the Generational Gap Boys chat because I wanted to get some honest takes off of this here. So now you know that I just jumped on the Trump train, and you've been very, very eager to have me over on the Trump train. But one of the big questions I've been asking the last two callers is, what do you want to see out of a second Trump term, given the fact that he doesn't have to run for a third term at this point?
I would like to see him gut and neuter the alphabet soup agencies. I want to see him do what JFK promised he would do. Remember the whole, dash the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the winds? Mm-hmm. I want to see these alphabet soup agencies brought under heel. And one thing that is a little bit good is that Trump told the ATF, hey, stop messing with pistol caliber carbines. Guess what they just messed with?
Yeah, I've been hearing some stuff about that. I don't know really much of what's going on with that. I know that my dad sent me a link talking about Spike Cohen putting out a thing saying mail your pistol grip weapon back to the ATF, and if they mail it back to you, that means that it's legal, and if they don't mail it back to you, then it's not legal, and they appropriate it, and if you don't mail it back at all, then you're a felon according to the Democrats and Republicans. And I have no idea what's going on with any of that. That one slipped right by me, and I watch the news every day.
Technically, that one is an interesting one to say the least. It's more of an import ban right now, or a limitation on imports. It's not affecting stuff made in the U.S. yet, but it could very easily.
Okay. So there is nothing to worry about with that?
It's something to keep an eye on for now. And because they are, and the thing is, you know what happens when federal agencies defy Trump overtly?
Mm-hmm.
What he tends to start causing trouble
Mm-hmm.
for them. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts push if once he's free from re-election, he can start hitting them hard. Not only that, but he can put much more pressure on Congress and the House. And one thing I know that you've been wanting is Trump to not sign any more omnibus bills.
Oh,
He now
please
has
don't.
that option. He now has that option.
Yeah. Well, and that is one of the things too. I mean, Nancy Pelosi has been holding the federal workers hostage to get her agenda pushed through. That's something that you can't deny right now. That is absolutely something you can't deny. And I mean, to an extent, Trump is beholden to that. He absolutely is, for re-election purposes.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's just one of those things that it is as it is.
Now, I have known you pretty much since the beginning of the Trump presidency, and you have not wavered in your Trump support. So, out of the last 3.5 years of actual policy, what has kept you on the Trump train?
What's kept me on the Trump train? Generally speaking, I would say what's kept me on the Trump train is that even though Trump isn't perfect, he's generally covered his promises, or at least gotten as close as he can to. And he's been making all the right people. What was it? Yeah, he's been making all the right people. He's made all the right people angry, as well as pushed out a lot of neocons, or more specifically, a lot of rhinos from the Republican Party.
Okay. Yeah, there has been a lot of that too. And the Lincoln Project has been a big one for me. Between the Lincoln Project and all of the intelligence people and all the military people that stood against him and supported Biden, if all of those people are against you in the government, I think you're doing something right.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would agree with that or not.
Oh yeah, you're doing something right. When you get certain people against you, that means you're doing something right.
Because my big thing right now, and this is something that I have been nervous about with the parallels of the Trump presidency versus the Reagan presidency, is the fact that the next president, I mean, we could get enough populism at this point that the next president could turn out to be another war hawk, for lack of a better term, Bush.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the risks, but we can't really control that right now. We have to hope that Trump stays in the game a little bit, and backs somebody that is not a war hawk.
Yeah, and I mean, they're sitting there waiting. I mean, the Lincoln Project guys, they're sitting there drooling, waiting to come out here, get back into power, and go over to Iran and say, hey man, Israel called your mom's fat.
Well, I mean, at this point, do we really need to go over there? Everyone else in the Middle East is saying, "Hi, hey, Iran, we're buddies with Israel now."
Yeah, that is definitely something to think about there too. But Iran, I mean, if you think about it from a biblical aspect, Iran is Persia, and Persia is supposed to be one of the key players in Armageddon.
Yeah, well, it depends on how much stock you take in it. Just because, again, this is writings of, well, these are a combination of oral stories and writings of men thousands of years ago attempting to understand the words of an omnipotent being. It's like an ant trying to understand what a human's telling it. It gets bits and pieces.
Yeah, that much I could understand off that. I don't know. Here's a question for you that I, given your more authoritarian rightward push off of this here. After the election, no matter who wins, but let's say on this little thought experiment that Biden wins, what do you think happens to the Lincoln Project guys?
Oh, they just quietly disappear into the background as they no longer have a use.
You think? Or do you think they get... my thing, and I actually have to side with Shapiro on this one, is I think they just get kicked off to the curb and they go back to being Nazis and rapists and want to put women in the kitchen again and all that kind of fun stuff that they've been enduring for the last 70 years.
Well, yeah, as I said, they basically fade back to nothing. They become, the enemy again. And then they pine for the days of Donald Trump.
And yeah, that I could see here, especially if we go into a far, far leftward progressive march, which I could honestly see under a Biden presidency. I really could.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. I hope that our civilization keeps chugging along, and I hope that your civilization keeps chugging along here.
Oh, it's doing okay for itself so far.
All right, I'm going to pop you on out of here. I'm going to pop you back in the waiting room, and we'll see if we can't get John from the Generational Gap in here. We'll close that out. We'll do some live chat here while we see if we can't get him over into the waiting room. So, yeah, John, if you're watching this here and you're here and on, hop in the waiting room so I can pull you into the call. And thanks, Seawall. We will see you next time.
See ya.
All right, that was Seawall, who's been a big friend of the show. He's been on the show a few times. We've had some nice long 2-hour conversations with Seawall. He's a great guy. He is more into that northeast corner of the political spectrum than I am, but he's still a good guy. Let's see. We have got some stickers and some stuff going on here. Where are we? Ron is still eating. Steven is prepping for a show. John is here. He says, give me a few and I will. Ron says, time change at 2 a.m. Change your clocks back 1 hour. Enjoy that extra hour of sleep. Or, for the most of us, and this would have been the great thing if they hadn't put us in worldwide timeout, an extra hour of drunkenness on Halloween night. Because most bars will honor that for bar time. Any place I've ever gone will honor that for bar time. Well, usually it's because they make more money, but they'll change it back at 2. All of a sudden it's 1 o'clock, and 2 o'clock is bar time in Wisconsin. So you get that extra hour to go get even more hammered and spend more money and try to chase some woman that you're probably not going to get. The RRC has his Trumpomania sticker up in there. Yeah, we'll go check out the RRC after the call-in show and see what Trumpomania is about here. Still waiting just a bit to see if John pops in here and gets into the live room. So let's see what we've got there. Ron Helton says the next president is Rand Paul. I don't know if that could happen or not. I would like to see that. I know I was talking with, I tweeted back at Brian Nichols, who's also a friend of the show. He had pointed out the fact that he thought that if Rand Paul were to run for Republican, he would vote for Rand without hesitation. I would have hesitation. Not because I think Rand Paul is a bad guy, just because I always have to vet everybody independently and situationally. It's kind of my thing. I've got to make sure and I've got to know. Let's see. Watching Trains Go By says, it's not just possible, it's almost historically inevitable. Power and morality are a pendulum that swing too far each way before coming to normalcy for a little while. Let's see. Ron Helton says, if Biden wins, red states vote to secede. Watching Trains Go By says, yep, Ron, that's the next movement, segregation and secession. Some people on both sides can easily be talked into it. Yes, they are. John is smoking, and then he'll be right there. Dude, that shit is bad for you. Might Be Wrong is in here. Let's get Might Be Wrong into the Discord, because then he can take part in this. I don't know if he's going to be here to take part in this one, because we might have to cut this for the RRC after John, but let's make sure that we get in. Let's get Might Be Wrong into the Discord so he can come and hang out with us. Get the link up in there for everybody to see. John says it's probably going to be loud as there are a bunch of people here. John's probably at the bar, the Irish dude here. Yeah, if you pop in there, get into the waiting room in there and come and hang out with us. That's the thing that we need to see is, because I need you to be in there to pull you in. Ron Helton says, I am for it. I see that as the only way of destroying the power of the federal government. A peaceful secession. Even though it seems that Abraham Lincoln made that illegal. Harvey McLeod is in here, says, howdy, y'all. Harvey, if you want to call in, pop into the waiting room in the Discord and hang out there. Let me know that you're ready to go. I don't see his headset went out, so he can't pop in here. That's why. And he's up there and pick me. Oh, the trick-or-treaters at Ron Helton's door. Trick-or-treat, don't give him edibles. Don't give the kids edibles. They're too expensive. I remember that. I saw that yesterday. Elaine put up on Twitter the article. It came out of Indiana. It came from the Indiana State Police. It says, beware. The Skittles bags with edibles look just like the regular Skittles bags, except they got fucking pot leaves all over the goddamn things. So I don't know what it is that they think they're going to do with all that. But apparently they look like regular Skittles, so the kids might get confused and they might eat them. And Elaine pointed out, do you have any idea how expensive edibles are? Nobody is giving those things away to your kids for free. Nobody is giving those things away to your kids for free. Absolutely not. All right. We have a little bit of fill time here before we get the next caller in here. Thanks, you guys, for coming and hanging out and making this a success. This was a really cool thing. This was a really cool experiment, and I know that we're going to be talking a lot more about election on Monday. Just me talking in platitudes between either myself or me and my guest, which I've got one of two people could be the guest coming up. Seawall has volunteered to be the guest in absentia, but I did reach out to a new voice into the independent content creation community to see if she wants to come and hang out. You can put LSD on candy too, just a PSA. Have you tried this? And how did it turn out? Because, if you know a little bit of something about that, you might have to let me know about that. And, hey, maybe I'll go rate the candy dish at your house. Because I think that would be interesting and possibly just a little bit of fun here. Let's see. Yeah, there's definitely some cool stuff that's happening right now. And I think, Midget is absolutely right. Getting some of these people shuffled out of here, term limits when... And I've never been a big one for term limits, but I do understand the merit of why people want to see the term limits. Honestly, if you go back and look at the people that have been sitting in there, they have an incumbency advantage first off. You go with the devil that you know. So that's something to keep in mind and watch for as you go along. But I don't know. It just seems like if you have term limits in there, you just make Congress people cheaper to buy. Because they're only going to be in there for a little while to make their money. So you're not going to have to keep upping the price every year in order to get people to play ball. Because people know that if, they're making $174,000 a year from the government. And every once in a while, they're just going to have to keep upping that take. Whereas if they're only in there for 2 terms or so, then you don't have to really increase the amount of that take. I do think that term limits themselves, artificially, would cheapen the cost of a politician. I don't think it's a terrible idea. But I think it would be a lot easier and possibly have a lot better results if we can hold these people to account and make sure that they get primaried every year. That is a part of the problem that we're seeing from this, is the fact that they're not getting primaried. Some of these people are running unopposed in their party, and then they get up to a weak general challenger, and then they can't get voted out because of the deep-seated blue or redness of a district. So there's some things to watch over here. I'm going to bring John in because it looks like he's in and ready to go. He hasn't pinged me yet, so I don't know if he's ready to go, but I'm going to go ahead and pop him in here, and we'll listen to see what John has to say in his loud, not bar. John, you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
What's up, man? How's it going?
We're just testing out the call-in feature here to see if we can get some more people in, and it seems to be a success so far.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we're talking about election, and we're coming in and we're seeing what happens if one side wins or what the other side wins. What is your biggest fear from a Biden presidency, if he should manage to squeak it out?
The biggest fear, obviously, would be Biden stepping down and Kamala becoming president. And then also more, leeway for rioters or, peaceful protesters, in air quotes, to be able to do whatever they want without repercussion. Because, even under Trump, there hasn't been as many repercussions as you would think there would be. Now that's not his fault necessarily because he doesn't have the power to, you know, uh, he doesn't have the power really to shut it down because it's obviously the states and the cities' responsibility.
Hmm.
But I feel like that, yeah, with Biden, they're gonna be more. Uh, I guess they're gonna feel safer doing that sort of thing. I feel like they can get away with it, and they'll probably be right.
See, I've taken an opposite view to this as far as
Hmm.
what would happen to the rioters if Biden manages to win the presidency, because I think that people like Tim Walz, like Gretchen Whitmer, like Fuckstick Wheeler, people like that are going to be more apt and more willing to take National Guard help to quell the riots if it's coming from an accepted politician.
See, maybe, but I also at the same time I think that would make it worse because I think that these Democrats, like the ones in power, of course, believe that they can control the rioters. They're saying, they're letting them do their thing now, and they're saying, okay, this is actually a good thing. But then they think that, okay, if we're in power, though, we can just tell them to stop and they'll stop. But that's not true because they're not Democrats. These people who are rioting and stuff, they're not Democrats. Most of them are anarcho-communists or, some other kind of variation of that. So I don't think that they're going to take orders from a hierarchy that they don't believe is legitimate. And that's what people don't understand is that anarcho-communists don't believe in hierarchy. And so, yes, they're technically on the side of the Democrats are technically on the side of them right now because they're anti-Trump. But they don't realize that they're going to be anti-Biden as well as soon as Biden's president, or Kamala as soon as she's president. You know what I mean? I don't think that they realize that they don't actually have control of these people.
Well, and that's one of the things that I thought about and I pointed out when I was talking about why I endorse Trump. I don't know if you saw my endorsement video off of that, but I remember right in the beginning, the mainstream pundits came out after Swallowwell came out and said, well, you know, these people, they think they're going to fight back against the government with their little semi-auto rifles, but the government has nukes.
Oh, well, yeah.
And all the pundits came out and said, well, nah, just don't worry about it. No politician would ever turn a nuclear weapon against their own people and their own infrastructure. Well, they turned BLM and Antifa, who are essentially doing the bidding of the progressive movement of the Democrat Party right now. They did turn them against their own people and their own infrastructure.
Yeah.
So I don't put anything above them at this point.
Right, but again, I think that they think that they have control of these people, like you would have control
Right.
of a nuke, right? A nuke doesn't make its own decision, whereas these, rioters, BLM, whatever, they do make their own decisions, and I don't think that they're in. I don't think the Democrats have control of them like they think they do. I mean, you should see a lot of the things that they say about Democrats. They talk almost as much shit about Democrats as they do Republicans. It's just they hate Republicans more because they hate Trump. But they absolutely hate Democrats as well. They see them as two sides of the same coin, which of course they are.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is that they realize that, and they're actually doing something about it. Of course, it's misguided and it's wrong in general. But they are actually taking action, and I don't think it's going to end just because Biden gets in.
Now, interesting for you, and I asked Stephen what he would hope to see from a second term Trump. I asked Midget what he would hope to see from a second term Trump because both of them are adamant about voting for Trump for a second term. I've played out what
Hmm.
I hope to see from a second term Trump. You did not vote for Trump.
Correct.
You laid your vote for Dr. Jorgensen.
I did, yeah, and not because I like Joe Jorgensen. I think if anyone watches any of our episodes that I've talked about it, I'm not a fan. But I voted for her because of the party line,
Hmm.
which I'm not a member of the National Libertarian Party, but I couldn't uh, I just couldn't go with Trump on this one, and I just couldn't. Obviously, I'm not going to go for Biden.
Oh, I understand not going for Trump on this one. I absolutely understand that. You had to get me
Yeah.
across that line kicking and fucking screaming.
Right.
I,
Yeah.
I was in no hurry to vote for Trump.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand. I mean, it's not like I don't know. I mean, I've always said like I'm probably like 50% approval rate for Trump,
Hmm.
like 50, 55, something like that. It varies day to day, but yeah, he's. I mean, so yeah, he like Seawall was saying earlier. You know, he pisses off all the right people, which is why I like him.
Hmm.
But at the same time, sometimes that person is me, you know, and I don't like that, obviously. Um, and so I mean, he's done a lot of things that I don't like. He said a lot of things that I don't like, and I understand that a lot of the time the things that he says isn't really what he's going to do. You know, he just says it to either appease one side or piss off the other side. Um, but so the question though, what would I expect from a second term Trump presidency?
No, what would you expect from a Biden or I'm sorry, a Jorgensen presidency?
A Jorgensen
Because you
presidency,
chose to put your support behind her.
right? So I would expect uh, a lot of fight in
Hmm.
Congress, especially. Uh, I would expect her to come out and say some probably pretty ridiculous things. She's been pandering a lot to like the leftists. And when I say leftists, I mean like socialists and communists.
Hmm.
Progressives is actually probably a more accurate term
Hmm.
for who she's pandering to. Um, and I get that, like uh, individual rights, and all that, and that's fantastic. But she's pandering to people, and I think she's going to continue. This is why I'm bringing it up. Is she's going to continue, I think, to pander to progressives who hate like liberty. First of all, they hate freedom because freedom means inequality. You can't have freedom without inequality. And I'm not. I don't know. Maybe she knows that, but she panders to them anyway. I'm not sure. So I expect a lot of talk if she were somehow to magically get the win the election. Uh, I expect a lot of more of that talk without anything really happening because she's going to try and encourage more libertarian ideals, but everyone in Congress isn't going to want that to happen.
Okay.
So I expect really just gridlock, which is at this point is the best you can hope for is for nothing to happen, and that's unfortunate.
So I want you to humor me for a sec on something because I came up with a theory a few days ago over where I think the Libertarian Party went, and it goes along with something that Watching Trains Go By said in the chat. So I want to address my theory first, and then I kind of want to close it out on what Watching Trains Go By said here. So
Hmm.
as far as strategy for LP went, and I started thinking about the differences between Dr. Jorgensen and Governor Johnson and how vastly different the two people were.
Hmm.
And I started thinking about what the political situations were separate between the two of them as well. Now, looking at Governor Johnson in 2016, there were a lot of people who were not very happy with the idea of a lot of Republicans, especially, that were not very happy with the idea of voting for Trump. I mean, he's been married 3 times. The Republican Party, for the most part, was still the Jesus Party.
Yeah,
So he's been married 3 times. He's cheated on every woman he's been married to. He
sure.
grabs them by the pussy. He's all this kind of things. Plus, he was a registered Democrat for most of his professional career. Most of the time, he spent in the
Right.
limelight rather. And I do think that Gary Johnson, being a former Republican governor, which is something that my ex-girlfriend tried to force into my head every time we talked about what was coming up for the election, because she voted for Johnson,
Mm,
and she
I
tried
did too. Yeah.
she tried to convince me to do the same because he's a Republican governor. I think he was there to try and pick off some of the straight line classical Republican votes. And then I look back at Dr. Jorgensen in the political situation we have sitting here right now, not necessarily because, I mean, let's face it, the LP isn't going in there to win. They should be going in there
No.
to win, but they're not.
Right.
And instead, now you've got most of the Republican Party is unified behind President Trump because of a lot of the good decisions that he has made, in
Hmm.
spite of the bad decisions he's made. A lot of them are unified behind him. So Dr. Jorgensen is there to pick off some of the more progressive votes that aren't necessarily into redistribution, but still into the intersectionality.
Mm.
I don't know if that would, if you can humor any of that, or
No, no, it makes sense. A couple of things. One with Gary Johnson picking off Republican votes. If we're talking about like Puritan Republicans, like more religious Republicans, or more like traditionally conservative Republicans,
mm-hmm.
he's not a good pick for that. Mainly due to he's just kind of goofy a lot of the time. Like he was really goofy, and the marijuana, you know,
That's true.
thing.
That's
A
fair.
lot of Republicans, maybe less so now than in like a decade ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
But still, they're not typically. You won't find a lot of fans of legalizing marijuana there, and that was one of Gary Johnson's biggest things.
Mm-hmm.
But I can definitely see that with Jorgensen. Uh, However, I don't know how you square being like as an individual, how you square being with intersectionality and not being with redistribution.
Oh,
Because
that's.
intersectionality is specifically a dichotomy of oppressions,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's always straight people are oppressing gay people,
Mm-hmm.
or men are oppressing women, white men are oppressing black people. It's all a dichotomy of oppressions. So why would you not have it in your mind that, well, then the people who are oppressing people need to pay the people that they're being oppressed, because they need to end whatever oppression is going on. I don't know how you would square that, really.
I don't know. It's.
Like, speaking as one of those people, like if you're trying to come from their point of view, is what I mean.
I don't know. I mean, it's the theory in my head is only a couple of days old at this point. I'm sure that if the DOT didn't test and I could sit down and smoke a whole bunch of fucking grass and sit down and try and get into the mindset of something like this here, I could probably
Yeah.
flush out a little bit more of that. But that just looking at the political situation in the two, that is something that kind of jumped up into my mind, that Dr. Jorgensen
Yeah.
does seem to be a bit more on the progressive side and maybe possibly targeting some of the more progressive people, where Johnson has run in office as a Republican
Right.
before.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that if that is the case, then they picked the wrong people for it. Is what I'm saying.
But
But I can see that.
watching trains go by, I actually had something else to point out that actually flushed a little bit more of this out into my mind a little bit here. And that does go with the fact that, I mean, in all honesty, there really are four political parties in this country right now, but it's not, the Green Party isn't in play for one of them.
Right.
We have the Republicans, Democrats, obviously, and then Libertarians and Progressives off of this one. Well, Republicans, I think, or I'm sorry, Libertarians would, for the most part, I think, tend towards the GOP if we had to go
Yeah.
into a fully dichotomous system only.
Yeah.
But they insist to hold themselves out into a different party. Whereas the progressives are trying to, at this point, co opt themselves into the Democrat Party and take it back over and become
Yeah.
one of the big ones. His exact comment was, "That's the truth. They think they can become the major political party and influence through
Yeah.
terror and violence." And there's been no legit pushback because they serve Dems' ends for now.
Well,
So,
that's the thing, is the Democratic Party is weak enough
mhm,
to allow that sort of thing, and they've been. And it's not like it's nothing new. Even in the last 4 years, it's nothing new. The progressives have been uh, infiltrating the Democratic Party for quite some time, and now they're at a level where they're strong enough to try and force a coup,
mhm,
and I think that's what they're trying to do. And the Democrats, and that's why there's a schism between like old school Union Democrats and progressive Democrats.
mhm,
And the progressive Democrats feel like, and they're probably right, that they're strong enough to be able to overtake the Union Democrats, especially with Trump now, who like I don't want to say he's pro-union, but he has spoken a lot to people that are in unions. He has spoken a lot to the workers, the even not even the middle class, but the lower classes. He's spoken a lot to them. So I think he's taken away a lot of that support from the Democrats, which means that all that's really left are a few stragglers of union Democrats and progressives.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's been one of the big things that I remember from my life. And I grew up in a union house. I know what the
Yeah.
rhetoric is that comes out of the union, and it is the fact that every time a Republican was in office in my lifetime, which was very little, I've got
Yeah.
Reagan, Bush 1 and Bush 2, and now Trump. But from what I understand, it even goes back further than that, going into Nixon and Ford and everyone else like that, is the fact that whenever a Republican is in office, I was told that that president is going to try and send my dad's job overseas. And now Trump
Right.
has talked a lot about protectionism. And I don't necessarily agree 100% in protectionism, but I understand where that would resonate with the American union worker.
100%. 100% it does. And the fact that he's actually succeeded at that a lot helps, obviously, with this current election. He's actually maintained a lot of his promises. He's actually delivered on a lot of his campaign promises from 2015, 2016. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I really think that you're going to see a lot more union people going for Trump this time, like probably ever before.
I think so too. And I think we're going to call it there off here. So I'm going to kick you up out of the live room here. Thanks for
All
coming
right.
by and calling in here. Remember, tell your friends to come in and come and hang out with us for next time. We'll do this in a couple Saturdays after we pick up the aftermath from this. So we will see you next time. I'm going to put you back in the waiting room here.
All
and
right,
we're going to
man.
close the show so we can all go watch the R-rated conservative.
All right. Thanks, man.
Take care.
Yep, see ya.
All right, that was John from the Generational Gap calling in here. Remember, if you guys want to call in next time, I would love to hear from you guys. We might do this right after election day too, because of everything that's happening and what's going to change. So we might do this on a weekly schedule for a little while, but definitely we'll be doing this every other week, and we will be doing more call-in shows as well. So thanks everybody who came by and hung out here. We'll check up with the last of the live chat here, and then we'll head on and out of here and get over to the R-rated conservative. So Harvey McLeod says they're campaigning a lot lately. Yep, they're trying to get those last minute votes. They're trying to get the very, very last minute parts of it. Watching Trains Go By says intersectionality is confusing on the face of it. The fact that people have different desires, goals, needs, or wants means that they are often going to compete for things like power, economics, space, and attention, etc. It's not discrimination per se, it's competition. It can easily become discriminatory, but not necessarily just because of an inherent bigotry. Group identity becomes more noticeable when you lose. That's a pretty heavy one to end on, but that's what we're going to end on here. So Watching Trains Go By is going to get last word. We're going to head on out of here. So where's my outro music? I didn't set that up. I didn't cue that up. We have no outro. Hold on here. We'll do a little bit of on-air production with this. I'm going to get a soundboard at some point where I can just do this with a flick of a button here. But for right now, we've got to open up the regular program. All right. Let's get it queued up and get on out of here. So, I want to take some time here and thank Stephen Ignoramus and Midget B, John from the Generational Gap, Seawall for coming in and weighing in on the first ever call-in show. I want to do a lot more of this because I want to hear what you guys have to say, and I want to get you guys a chance to get your voices out there and heard on the audio platform as well. So, come and hang out with us the next time. We will be doing this again, but as for right now, we're going to head on out of here. Thanks to the chatters in here as well. Harvey McLeod, Watching Trains Go By, the R-rated conservative. Ron Helton, who got shy and we didn't want to get him in here. Might Be Wrong, the R-rated conservative. The Nightbot in here, putting the links out there as well. Stephen Ignoramus, and more. So thanks everybody who came by and hung out. We will be back here on Monday for more contemporary and more news. There's plenty more going on already, and you guys are already filling up my Discord server with even more news, and I love to see that here because You guys help shape the Contemporary Show, even if I don't get to read the live chat for you, so come and hang out. Otherwise, come back here 5:30 Monday night for the Red Net Show with a guest that I still haven't had a confirmation on yet. So one of two people will be here alongside me on Monday night. And then Tuesday from 4 p.m. until I get sick of it and pissed off and leave, we will be doing election coverage, and that will be a DLive and Twitch exclusive. So come and hang out on one of those two platforms and see what we see when we watch all of these people get by and get the results from the election. It'll be a lot of fun. We've got some guests that are going to be chiming in and talking. That will be an audio-video call, so definitely come and hang out with us and see what these people are seeing. That will be, once again, from 4 p.m. Central Time to midnight, or possibly earlier, or possibly later. We will see what happens off that there. And that's going to be it for the day. Thank you, everybody who came by and hung out again. We will see you next time on this. And lastly, my name is Jay Edgar, and thank you for coming to my Ed Talk. Take care.